Hey, what's up? Um, I kind of probably look really weird on the camera, but like I'm sitting over here on this like little bench thing because there's like a lot going on inside the clubhouse, and there's like music and stuff, and there's like the guy making a sandwich or whatever out in the kitchen. So there's really nowhere for me to do a vlog. So I navigated to this very weird like part of the Georgia Cyber Center, and I'm just sitting here doing a vlog. Um, because I've been really consistent, and I think that's the thing, like staying consistent with one thing and just trying it out over and over again. I don't care if it takes like 2 years. Like I just would like to get to the point where I know how to do vlogs, and like I can. I really want to get to the point where I'm like this guy, this dude, Web Lesson. Like he put out such a solid tutorial on Laravel, and like that gets me so excited. That's really what I want to get to, because he has skill, and like he explained Laravel in such a simple way for me to understand that like I want to. I hope that there's things that I can get good at on my own that aren't fully understood yet. One of the things I'm really interested in right now is WebAssembly. I mean, you've probably seen like all the videos I put out about C++ and C, so it's natural for me to be kind of drawn to WebAssembly. If you don't know what WebAssembly is, it's what allows you to run C and C++ code in the browser. So you have to get this thing called EMMC, and then you get a WASM thing. It compiles your code into JavaScript, HTML, and CSS, and then you can run your code straight in the browser. So to me, that's really exciting because like I do a lot of IoT stuff. I do a lot of stuff with OpenCV, and not all that, like OpenCV, for example, that's not something you could just run in a browser. But with WebAssembly, maybe it's possible. So I'm looking into that. But today at the clubhouse, I've been working on my Laravel project. I've got this thing here. This is just the same application that I was working on yesterday, and kind of shows that this stuff doesn't like happen in a day. It takes a little while to get to. I've been doing this for about a day, and I've been figuring out environment variables, getting stuff set up. So this is the application. This is what it looks like. Changes I've made to it is now there's some database code in here. So if you're not familiar with Laravel, this is going to be a little bit confusing because I don't understand it fully. I would definitely, if you want to know more, go to this guy's lessons, Web Lesson. He's got a very solid tutorial on how to get started with this. I've got a basic database set up right now. So if you go into, trying to find migrations. So this is the database model. It was made here in app. You get model, and then here we go. Migrations. So this is pretty cool. You can just migrate, your database straight to PHP MyAdmin or whatever, MySQL, so you can see it. And what this does is just creates a table. So if I run the command, PHP artisan migrations, it'll just do, if I do PHP artisan migrate, it migrates that to the database. So it just creates a table with an ID, first name, last name, and then a timestamp. And that's all it's in PHP MyAdmin. But it's pretty cool. I really like the idea of a framework. To me, is always kind of interesting, like how you get all this really complicated stuff put together. And I guess the answer is just find a framework that you like, and then just start digging in and making stuff with it. Like I think with Node.js, I'm kind of using my own framework. I use Express, Body Parser, MongoDB, and Passport.js. So I just know that those are the four packages that, Mongo, Body Parser, Express, and EJS, which is a templating engine. It's a Vue templating engine. So I use those libraries just to build my apps in Node.js. But with Laravel is a complete framework. Like it's there. It's got a templating engine called Blade. It's got this artisan thing. Everything's there. So you don't need to worry. Once you install Laravel and you install the blog thing from Laravel, done. Like you have a Laravel application with complete file structure, all the libraries that you need. And you can install it with Composer. Composer's a package manager just like NPM, just like pip. So I guess that's it. You just got to get familiar with a particular framework or kind of understand what a package manager is. Once you understand what a package manager is, a lot of software projects are easier to understand because that's like you get that package manager and it makes an environment. And that environment is something that's kind of like a house, some houses have chairs, some houses have tables, some houses have kitchens, other things, but it's the basic blueprint. And so when you have a package manager, you have usually a JSON file which has all of your libraries that you're going to install. Like in here, I've got this composer.json. So it says, what PHP I'm using, this auto load, all these settings are in here. And when I run the package manager, I don't even know what any of this stuff really does. I'm learning as I'm doing it. And what it does is it just sets up a project for you. That's it. It comes with a bunch of libraries and stuff. Really different from C and C++. Like I feel like the way that I code in C and C++, just because I worked with an older guy, everything is custom. Everything is a header file that I made. I think a good example would be if you use the game engine for C++, like in Unreal. Unreal, the file naming structures, like you got FB, first person, that's a class. And then in that class, you got a couple of different, that's a namespace. And then there's like, if you use Unreal game engine, that's a really good example of like what a framework will look like with C++, because no one makes those games from scratch. Like all those graphics, the physics engine, all the physics part of everything's all there. It's all there set up for you. You just kind of have to understand how to do it all in Unreal. That's it. But yeah, once you get like the basic idea, like once you become comfortable with using other people's code, I think that's when a lot of cool projects open up to you. Because for me, it took me the longest time to wrap my head around it. I was always like, I gotta know how to program like from scratch. I gotta know how to make this from scratch. Well, you really don't ever. You use Hello World to test that different parts of your application are working, but like a Hello World program from scratch doesn't really happen too often. It might happen sometimes, but more often than not, you're going to be using a library, some other person's code, a framework, and that's just what I've come to learn through coding, doing boot camps. And I'll also say, like, the other thing about programming, which everyone says, and it's kind of cliche, is you just got to be really super patient. You just got to be super patient because you're dealing with learning a new language, a new way of thinking, new methods. It's not as much as people want to be like, oh, I got it in 3 months. If it takes you a year, if it takes you 2 years of repeating the same thing, that's not even that crazy. It really isn't. Like, it's so much worse if you put in like a year or a year and a half or 2 years, for example, and then you just give up. That's just a waste of time. I mean, programming is such a useful skill. Like, I use it to make things that are useful. Like, I made a little to-do list for me and my girlfriend so we can keep track of tasks that we have to do. Like, if I want to make something, I can now make it. If I want to make a payment system to have people pay me, I don't need to worry about where I'm going to go to get my payment system, who's going to do it for me, how much am I going to lose. Like, I can make it. I can use a library. I can set it up. I lose 2%. I use it with Stripe. That's all I have to do. So programming is a worthwhile skill to have. It is, especially in this day and age, because it's so expensive to hire a programmer to do something. And also, the thing that people don't really talk about is there are tons of what I refer to as fake programmers. Okay? If you hear that word and like the hair on your neck stands up, it's probably because you might be a fake programmer. A fake programmer is someone who doesn't put in the effort to do their own projects. A fake programmer is someone who's not really interested in the field or the idea of like software as a tool. A fake programmer is someone who's like I want to get a job as a software engineer, and they think that you go into some office and like you type, print F hello world. No, that's not what happens. Like in programming, it's not hard, but it's not going to be easier than any other job. Well, like, what does an accountant do? A lot of complicated stuff. A lot of really complicated stuff all the time. What does a manager at Subway do? Deals with a lot of disgruntled employees, customers that are upset, has to manage orders, a lot of complicated things. So don't trivialize it and be like, oh, they're sitting in front of a computer. Oh, it's an easy job. It's not. It's not, but it's a normal job. So I just think that there's a lot of people who are like, I'm going to watch. I know when I first like really started getting into programming, I thought I could watch like a Udemy video and I'd be like, oh, it's done. Like, because I was used to physics where I'd take a math class and I get it, I'm done. I know how to do that operation. Every wave problem's the same. Schrodinger's equation's the same every single time. Numerical approximations of like different equations, all the same stuff, right? But you could do a lot with programming. Look at the world around us. Like, I'm on a machine right now that is constantly getting better. Like this Surface Book is so much better than the computer before it. So people are learning how to improve things. You got to sit there and like look at other people's code, fix other people's broken code. You know how many people freak out the first time they got to like fix someone's broken code? That is like 24/7, all day, every day, all the time. Things don't work. You got to figure out how things are meant to break all the time. Like we're talking about typing in words, which are going to be interpreted by a machine, which are going to be turned into electrical signals, which are going to do something to cause some sort of charge to move from another spot to another spot to render a screen. You really think that there isn't room for error? That what couldn't go wrong in that process? It's amazing that it even works at all. So, yeah, you're going to be dealing with a lot of debugging. The advice that I've been getting lately, and the advice that I wish that I heard it before, and I never really took it until recently, is get a project, and go get started doing it. You're going to get so much better if you just do a project. Really. The minute that, like, as soon as I started making a website for Champion, and like I stopped focusing on, okay, I'm going to do this tutorial on Udemy and this tutorial on Udemy, I would say get a base foundation with Udemy and learn like how to learn. This is just me being biased here, but I would highly recommend learning things that have high impact web languages. So I would recommend learning HTML, CSS, JavaScript, PHP, and MySQL. If you can do that, you can make a web application that's going to look really impressive, and then you can transfer those skills into other things. Because like C#, it's going to be just like PHP, doing stuff with databases, forms, handling things. I mean, there shouldn't be more concepts that you're going to need to learn. Python, it's like a big mess of different languages. C, C++, yeah, they're harder because they have different types, but like if you learn one thing, now you have a starting point. You can work on some projects and you can start to understand the process of software development, which is like using it to do something. And that's the biggest lesson I've learned, is really working on projects. And so if you do a tutorial, try and take it and modify it, because you'll find out that like there's a lot in that tutorial that you didn't know. I've learned that through the boot camp. I've always kind of been like in a tutorial hole where I'm like, oh, I gotta do this tutorial, I gotta do that tutorial. Well, maybe just do the tutorial and then go and apply it to something. Go and try and make your own check-in list or your own payment app, whatever. That's all you got to do. But that's it for today. Pretty excited. Got a nice fun weekend planned with family, and gonna be enjoying the weekend. So hope everyone has a nice Friday.